10 stocks I have bought over the last week on the dips. What is happening, investors? It is your boy Jack. I am not a financial advisor, and today I'm going to be bringing you through everything I've been buying. So I think at this stage everybody knows there has been a tech sell-off and there has been a growth stock sell-off in general, despite, the broader market's not doing too badly whatsoever. There has been this rotation from tech and growth, largely due to bond yields rising. But now over the last few days, we've started to see some sort of recovery happening in the tech and growth sectors alongside the major indexes. And myself, just like the large majority of people out there, have been taking this opportunity to, dollar cost average in some of our companies that we maybe had smaller positions in, or take the opportunity to buy more of the companies we are actually reading. So I have bought 10 companies in total over the last 8 days or so on 2 separate occasions, and that's what we're going to be speaking about today, my friends. So right before we do, just throw ourselves into the first company of today, could I please ask you to hit that juicy like button? Drop me a comment, I am very interested. What have you guys picked up over the last week or so? Have you been focusing on the beaten down tech and growth stocks, or have you been playing it a little bit safer? And please, my friend, if you are indeed new around here, hit that juicy red subscribe button. Join the family of investors, baby, why not? And with that being said, let's get into it. So right before we do speak about the first company of today, I just want to go through this. It'll only take a minute. Dow rallies 460 points to close at a record as bond yields fall and as the House passes new stimulus. So the important things here from a tech and growth stock point of view are bond yields fall and House passes new stimulus. House Democrats passed a $1.9 trillion RONI relief bill on Wednesday, sending it to President Joe Biden, who was expected to sign Friday. Biden said checks of up to $1,400 should start going out this month. This is obviously going to be huge for the market. We've seen it happen in the past with these stimulus checks. They often lead to, huge green rallies. So this is the biggest piece of news by far, and this is what is actually filling myself with a little bit of optimism going into next week. Futures are pretty much all green today, and tech and growth stocks are back to outperforming the broader indexes. And then the 10-year treasury yield fell 2 basis points to 1.52%. In all honesty, I think the whole yield percentage going up has been blown completely out of proportion by a lot of investors, but it is what it is. Seeing it come down again will fill these growth investors with a little bit more confidence. So that's just something I want to do really quickly. On to the first company of today. So all 10 of the companies we're going to speak about today, I previously held positions in. This is just me adding to my portfolio. So with Corsair, I added a total of 55 shares on 2 separate occasions. And we bought those shares right at about maybe $33.70 on average. Now the reason I was happy to buy my shares at these prices is, look, we had a long-term area of support right at about $33.57. So in my opinion, anything below that was, a pretty good buy. And you can see Corsair did break below that long-term area of support. They went down a considerable amount, more than 10%, closer to 15, okay? But they came right back up to that area, and that seems to be where we're chilling out right now. So for me to be able to pick up shares in this company that, again, I plan on holding for years, that would be a very common theme with every company we speak about today. I expect them to come back into this area relatively quickly as soon as any sort of recovery in the tech and growth sectors begin to happen. So if I can dollar cost average, if I can buy some slightly cheaper shares, I'm happy to do so. And one other thing I want to make kind of clear from the start, guys, is I'm not trying to time the absolute bottoms here. I mean, I bought somewhere back here and then I bought a little bit more here. I didn't get in at the very bottom. That's not really what I'm trying to do, and this has been something I've kind of been saying in my Discord over the last few days. Is, obviously, best case scenario, you get to buy at the very, very bottom. A lot of you guys will remember our green day that happened only a couple of days ago, where there was some really nice recoveries in a lot of these stocks. And then people were already reluctant to begin buying more, but if you look at it in a broader time sense, I mean, look from our peaks. This is our peak, we've come all the way down here. This is our green day. I mean, we're still down from all the way up here. This is why I'm just happy to dollar cost average right now. It doesn't particularly bother me if it is a red day or a green day. In the grand scheme of things, it's not going to matter too much as long as you feel like you're paying a good price. But that's the first one. That's Corsair. Very happy to have picked up more shares at this price. Now I picked up 40 shares of BFT, the SPAC who was going to be merging with PaySafe, hopefully relatively soon. I got my shares at $14.83. So I initially got into this company, I believe it was either in the 11s or 12s, so this was actually me dollar cost averaging up. But the reason I was relatively happy to do that, my friends, is they've been somewhat sideways for a considerable period of time. Okay, we initially found out about these guys, there was an awful lot of excitement. There was a slow and steady upward movement, full of ups and downs. It was relatively healthy price action for the most part, but we had this really nice uptrend going, and you could draw out the trend lines here and you would see it happening. And until this dip here around the 4th of February, we would have been respecting those lines very heavily. And now you can see, just like everything else, if I zoom back in a little bit, you're going to see highs and you're going to see this big crash. You're going to see a green day and some consolidation. You're going to see that with pretty much every chart right now. And I was just happy to add some shares. I mean, this is a company, again, who I plan on holding for years. I wasn't really willing to buy these guys in the 17s, 18s, etc. I just thought there was better deals out there. But now there are so many deals out there. Again, something I've been saying in the Patreon lately is it's almost obsolete to put watch lists out there. If you have a watch list full of growth stocks and tech stocks already, go see what's beaten up, check your own portfolio, see what you already own. A large majority of them are going to be at prices you're relatively happy to pay. And that's why you'll see some smaller buys from me. I mean, 40 shares here, 50 shares there. I'm just trying to somewhat make a lot of my positions a little bit bigger as opposed to going super heavy on any one company. But that's the second stock. It's a SPAC. You know, we have somewhat limited downside, but nothing crazy. I still do think these guys honestly carry a little bit of short-term risk, but I still don't have a very large position in them at all. So here is a SPAC, okay? I am so happy to buy at these prices. I picked up a total of 75 shares at around 11.30 a share, okay? This is a SPAC, guys, in the space industry that I genuinely think has so much long-term potential. It's mimicking SRAC, it's mimicking what Momentus did at the beginning, and I wouldn't be surprised, okay? A lot of people won't like me saying this. If we hover around 10.50 to 12 for a considerable period of time, a few weeks at the very least. Now, if there is to be an overall recovery, we could see a nice upward move to the 13s, 14s, maybe even 15s. But I think we could see some sideways movement. We could, you know, create some sort of real consolidation, some real areas of support and resistance. And then we could get some news. And then I think these guys could go up in value. But this is a SPAC right now in a very high growth industry. I think when the ARC-X comes out, SFTW has a decent chance of fighting its way into that ETF, and I think that in itself will give it a boost. And even if it doesn't make its way in there, I think the ARC-X in general will give all space related companies a boost, as it did when it was announced. For me, usually when it comes to these SPAC stocks, I don't go in very heavy initially, but I'm already up to 375 shares in this SPAC. Generally for me with a SPAC, if I'm getting in somewhere between, you know, $11 and $13, 150, 200 shares I'm happy with. I can't express how happy I am to have built this position at these prices. Okay, Momentus SRAC, this is one we literally got in on day one. And again, this is the comparison I was making between Momentus and SRAC. Look at this. We had our initial upward move, we came down, there was a bit of consolidation for a considerable period of time. I know it doesn't look like much, but this here's a few weeks. Then we made our upward move, okay? And then we really made our upward move. So these guys have been hammered, absolutely hammered to the ground. Worse than most, in all honesty. And I don't think it's particularly justified. I bought more in the 13s, 50 more shares to be exact. Very happy to do so. I bought them once back here when they were very cheap. I bought them once along the road, and now I've bought them a third time. Very happy to have built my position here. Another space play. We have government contracts, we have NASA, we have a lot going for us. The technology is awesome. They've got a new CEO. I love the look of them. Okay, we have Palantir. And now what I'm going to say with Palantir, okay, it's been a crazy journey. So we've been following these guys for a long time. We initially bought somewhere back here. I think it was in the low 15s. I then bought more in the mid 20s, and I just bought more again, obviously, in the mid 20s. I only got 20 more shares at about $25. It was just a little bit extra. I don't think these guys go on a huge run again anytime soon, but they are a very long-term hold for me. The lockup period's expired. A lot of hype has died off. Maybe around our next quarterly report something good could come out, because I do expect a very good quarterly report. We're hovering in that area of consolidation, that long-term area. And again, look, I'm showing you guys common themes amongst, you know, completely separate stocks, all tech and growth related. They broke their long-term area of support, very quickly came back up to it, and now they're trading right around it. And again, this is something you're going to see with a lot of companies right now. So again, when I see it come around this level of support, a little bit below it, right on it, I'm happy to add a few shares. So for me with Palantir, you know, anything below 25, I genuinely do think is decent. If it was to come back down, you know, maybe to the 20s, maybe a little bit lower, I would be very happy to buy. Because I actually think the valuation's getting very cheap at that stage, even for a growth stock. I do think this is one that I will more than likely buy a little bit more of over the next week or so, especially if there is some more red days. I don't think there's anything wrong with buying a few shares here and there with these guys. Facebook, okay, one we haven't spoken about on the channel in so long. So I got 2 shares at $264. Again, just a little buy, you know, a lot of these positions were throwing in $500 to $1,000, just getting some extra money in the market. Out with me, Facebook, look, it's the kind of company, you put your money in them and who cares, you know. The odds of you not making a decent money, let's not say great money, I don't think it's going to give great money, but decent money over the next few years is awesome. It's not even at that steep of a discount, but I just felt like getting a little bit more money into it. It's only 2 shares, I only hold a total of 8 shares now, so it's still not a very large position for me by any means, but I was very happy to get a little bit more into this company. I just think when you look at the FANG stocks, but particularly Facebook and Apple, I mean, the odds of it not going your way if you have at least a 2-year outlook, is very low. We know that tech has been down, we know the Nasdaq's been down, but you can see Facebook showing that resilience. Of course, it did have a little bit of a dip, but you could have got a much nicer deal back here, especially if you had have drawn out this previous low. It is what it is, you know what I mean? But the reason I added 2 shares is because I actually think I'm going to start dedicating a little bit more money to Facebook and Apple. Maybe just, you know, picking up a few shares every couple of weeks, every month or so, until it's a somewhat decent position, but I'm not going to do it all in too quickly. One other reason for that is you can see, you know, it's been consolidating for a very, very long time. Literally since summer of last year, not much has happened, let's be honest. So especially when we were in the bull markets, when there was so much short-term money to be made, you know, that's where I was really focusing on these growth stocks. But now things have slowed down a little bit. We can spread out that money a little bit more evenly. And then I did throw a little bit into Apple as well. We got 4 shares at $119. So, you know, again, pretty much a $500 nearly investment. And these guys have had a little bit of a dip, in fairness. I mean, look, we've gone from highs of about 145 down to 120. That's a decent discount on a stock such as Apple. Now, when it does come to the fangs, when it does come to the really big tech, Apple more than likely is my absolute favorite. It's very close between Apple and Facebook. I do think Apple has a more potential to, you know, give the biggest absolute returns. But I also think they can face much more short-term volatility. It's just in the nature of the game that they're playing. If a new iPhone comes out and, you know, it's better or worse than what's expected, if there's some faults with it, you know, things are going to go either very good or very bad. Even when they announced their stock split, a lot of you guys should remember this, we went on this huge run and there was this huge crash. But you can also see that in general, okay, somewhat differently to Facebook, even since summer of last year, it's just been uptrends for the most part. So again, just a little bit of money thrown in there. I'll start dispersing some money between Apple, Facebook, some Amazon, maybe some Microsoft, slowly but surely. Okay, boom, we have Ride, my friends. Look at this, we're sitting at $16.96. I picked up 50 shares at $19. So again, those 50 shares, bang, I'm down. And I'm absolutely fine with it. And to be honest, guys, I think I'm going to have to buy more. Ride is one of the biggest positions in my portfolio as it stands. But I think these prices are a steal. And I think they're here for a couple of reasons that are outside of Lordstown Motors' control. I think everything that's gone on with Workhorse has had a knock-on effect with Lordstown Motors. We have seen this in the past. And I also think just the general sell-off. When the two of those things come together, you can go from highs of 31 all the way down to $16.96. And even here, as low as $15 a share. 50% of their value wiped out in a month. It was not justified. Lordstown Motors is in a fantastic position. And yeah, I think I'm going to have to buy more of these guys. I think anything under $20 is awesome. So the fact that we can get in 15% under there, obviously I'm going to be very happy about that. We have 100,000 pre-orders. I've done 2 interviews with the CEO of the company. He's given us investors so much useful information. I have an awful lot of confidence in these guys. And again, very long-term hold here. A lot of it may not come to fruition for another 2 years or so. But I think if you're willing to hold it that long, you're going to make a lot of money. 40 shares at $21 of CIIC. So this is the company to be merging with a rival. So I initially bought these guys back here. I think it was at the very low 13s. And you see very quickly we were up 150+%. And then there was a big crash. And then we were up 200%. And then since then there was actually, before this crash, before this big sell-off, a steady downtrend. But it was never anything crazy. And with me, I never got to build my position in this company. Okay, I think I only had 100 shares in them. But when it goes up so fast, it's very difficult to justify buying them. Again, when you look at a lot of these EV companies, you don't really see the fruits for a couple of years a lot of the time. You don't see the production numbers going up, you don't see the deliveries, you don't see the sales, and so it's hard to pay such high premiums. Especially then when you do see gaps like this get created, you are led to believe that at some stage it may get filled in. And look, it got filled in, so I said to myself, I'll buy a few more shares. So again, it's nothing crazy, because I have to be honest with you guys, this isn't my favourite buy by any means that I made over the last couple of weeks. I think in the short term, this one has more to lose than a lot of the other stocks that we spoke about today. But I also think in the long time, this could be a beautiful, beautiful play. So basically, I don't want to overextend because I don't want to let emotion become involved here at any stage. And then I'm going to keep it real with you guys. The last one is NGAC. I have done horrifically with this company. So I'm down 20% total. I bought 100 shares at 10.66. Look at this, guys. For a SPAC, it's at 10.34. It briefly touched pretty much 10 on the button. The downside at current prices is so low that I couldn't help but pick up a few more shares. The more research I've done into this company as well, I genuinely think they have the potential to do really, really well. I know a lot of people will say that's just wishful thinking on my part, but I mean, I've done the research, I've done the due diligence, and I think it's crazy that they are at these prices in all honesty. Now we'll have to see how it plays out. I could end up just getting burned on this one. I may have to take my 20% loss, maybe it'll be 25%, whatever it is. That's the nature of the investing game sometimes, my friends. But the strategy of playing these low risk SPACs when you get in at the right prices has made me a lot more money than it's lost me, we'll put it that way. But my friends, there are 10 stocks that I went ahead and, added to over the last 8 days, I believe it was. So you'll see there's not been any huge buys. Again, it's just been $500, $1,000 here and there. We're just beefing up the portfolio a little bit without changing the percentage allocations too much. And I think that's perfectly fair to do right now. And as well, I'm not, unleashing all of my cash whatsoever in my investing account. There's still plenty of money to buy a lot more dips if they are to come, or to dollar cost average a little bit on the way up if we do get back to that bullish market sentiment. But anyway, my friends, if you watched this video all the way till the end, you are a true legend, and I really do appreciate you being here from the bottom of my heart. Your support means the world to me. If you enjoyed the video, perhaps took some value, some insight, could I please ask you to hit that juicy like button, maybe drop me a little comment down below, and subscribe if you're new around here. And if you are interested in joining that private Discord group, again, my friends, that is the first link in the description. Full access to all of my buy and sell alerts. You would have known about all of these stocks when I bought them. Access to over 50 private channels. A huge community of investors to chat with. It's an awesome community. And if you'd like 2 free stocks on Webull, that's the second link, my friends. Anyway, guys, I hope you all have a beautiful, blessed day. I'll see you for another video very soon. Peace.